I get to talk about another co-sponsor of ours, the Department of Education. We're focusing on different issues, of course, and in particular populations. The justice-involved population is obviously a priority and a focus associated with some of the milestone of MBK. What we know is that the justice system doesn't always solve all of its own problems, and many of the solutions are a result of better education. So we're going to watch a video. You're going to see a brief video about second chance Pell Grants in a moment. And immediately after that, so that he is prepared, as I know he will be, is my friend A.J. Watson, who is the director of Youth Guidance's Becoming a Man program, who I had the opportunity to visit with not too long ago. Becoming a Man creates safe space for young men to openly express themselves, receive support, and develop the social and emotional skills necessary to succeed. Becoming a Man is another one of today's featured interventions, and it is an original inspiration for the My Brother's Keeper program. The president has visited BAM in Chicago. The BAM students, participants have visited the White House on more than one occasion. In fact, one BAM student introduced the president at the launch of the My Brother's Keeper initiative. And BAM has recently had the results of another rigorous evaluation announced and stood on the stage with us at our White House Youth Violence Prevention convening just a few months ago. So you'll be hearing from AJ after this short video on Second Chance Pell.
Hi, my name is Glenn Martin. I'm the founder and president of Just Leadership USA. The significance of the Second Chance Pell is that it gives an opportunity to people who are in prison, who are college ready, to have the opportunity to benefit from being able to go to college while they're on the inside serving time.
Hi, my name is Fred Patrick. I'm director of the Center on Sentencing and Corrections at the Bureau Institute of Justice. We know that post-secondary education in prison actually reduces recidivism in terms of individuals being 43% less likely to engage in crime post-release.
I'm Vivian Nixon, Executive Director of College and Community Fellowship, located in New York City. Not only do these people not recidivate, they become rock stars in their communities. They do good.
One of the 6 milestones of the My Brother's Keeper initiative is really about providing opportunity for all Americans to take advantage of post-secondary education.
We want people to come home whole again so that they can truly have a second chance.
Look to My Brother's Keeper as an example of seeing the best that people can be.
The first time anyone had ever said to me, Glenn, you should go to college, was in a prison. The Pell Grant initiative creates an opportunity for many more men and women to be able to have that opportunity.
Very cool, very exciting. AJ, come on up. Thank you, AJ Watson.
Good morning. My name is A.J. Watson, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the director of Youth Guidance's Becoming a Man program. Physically, I'm doing pretty good. Had a good breakfast, good night's sleep. Intellectually, my mind is racing with thoughts about how to make this conversation relevant and impactful. Emotionally, I'm filled with joy, I'm excited, and I'm also saddened of some news of young men we lost in Chicago this weekend. And spiritually, I'm connected, certainly to my own faith, to all of you doing this work, and to young men of BAM back in Chicago. What I just did is checked in. And at the beginning of every single Becoming a Man circle happening across the city of Chicago, we ask our young men and our counselors to check in. And when we check in, our young men get a chance to understand what's going on for them. And when we check in with a caring adult who's been well-trained and is in schools full-time, meeting young men where they are, it has an impact. As we heard, we just released the results of our second randomized controlled trial. 50% reduction in violent crime arrests for young men participating in this program versus those who don't. Go ahead. And 35% reduction in all arrests. 19% more likely to graduate on time from high school than young men who have not participated in this program. And it is a cost-effective intervention that has ROIs just on violent crime arrests alone of more than $30 for every $1 invested. So as we're talking about what works, we know that this works. We know that putting a caring adult in front of our young men on a full-time basis in our schools, meeting them where they are, delivering an interdisciplinary approach using cognitive behavioral therapy, really positive youth engagement, and men's rites of passage work has an impact because it's not too late. Adolescence is a critical time in our young people's lives. They are incredibly open, plastic, and trying to figure out what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a freshman? What does it mean to exist at this age and this time? And so that's what we do. We put guys like this who have that experience to work with our young men. They interact, going through a curriculum based around a set of core values: integrity, accountability, self-determination, positive anger expression, not management, expression, because it's just energy like happiness is. Respect for womanhood, which is an incredibly important topic at this time in this country. And visionary goal setting. Not just what do you want to do, what does your goal look like, but what is it in your life that you're doing that's, as we call, tripping you up? And let's work on that piece too. It looks just like this. That's our founder, who's here today, Anthony Marizzi Vittorio, sitting in a BAM circle, checking in with his young men. It looks like this. One of our counselors in the middle of the group doing a group mission, helping the group bond and come together and develop that group cohesion that's so critical in adolescence. And it looks like this. One of our counselors sitting down one-on-one during the school day where young men are and giving them a resource that when something's going on in their life, they have someone they can go and talk to, who they trust, who they feel safe with. Adolescence and schools are just the right time for an intervention like this. Because when we do that, we put young men back on track to graduating. We put young men back on track to a better hope, to a better future. And a lot of people believe this is the case, including our 44th president. And so we're honored today to be a part of this conversation. We'll be around this afternoon. You can learn more about it. And I think as Tim King said, we are changing the narrative. Thank you.
AJ, that was an amazing talk. I am so inspired by BAM. I'm a Boys and Girls Club kid. I grew up in Boys and Girls Club from the time I was about 7 years old. It transformed and changed my life. And so I have a really high bar for meeting youth development organizations that I think are transformative. And BAM, from the moment I had an opportunity to learn about it, to hear about it, to meet with AJ, Michelle, the team, it is powerful. The work that gets done there, and it's not just talking about it, it's being about it, and the results show what it is. So we are so proud to be able to lift up the extraordinary work you do with our kids, and the kids that so many of our folks in society say it is too late, that they might write off, but that we need in our society. So thank you for being here today, and thank you for your work. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next lightning talk, which is coming from Plinio Ayala. And Plinio is the president and CEO of Perscalis, which I think many folks know is an extraordinary evidence-based organization that provides free IT job training to Americans in cities where it is needed most. And Perscalis is not only one of the top interventions in the country, but one of our proud showcase intervention today. So please join me in welcoming Plinio Ayala.
Thank you, Michael. So my staff is going to kill me if I don't take this picture. So everybody's got to smile. Here we go. Ready? Good. Perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So I kind of walk around when I do these things, so I hope you guys don't mind. We're going to queue up the presentation in just a second. Perfect. Is that better? Great. 10-460. See, I think David hit it on the head this morning when he talked about zip codes. I'm a firm believer that the zip code from where you come from should not dictate how your future unfolds. And if I listened to the reports, I wouldn't be standing in front of you today. Because 10460 is a zip code I lived in the South Bronx. But I wanted a different future. And fortunately for me, there were people in the community that saw the potential and provided me the opportunity to go on to college. But unfortunately, there were far too many other young people in my neighborhood that did not get that chance. Let me introduce you to Aaron Mingo. Aaron Mingo is a Cincinnati resident. He attended OSU for a couple of years, but unfortunately he had to drop out because he couldn't afford to stay. Got married, had a few children, and had to go to work. The best he could do was working in a restaurant, often making no more than $30 a day. There are far too many Aaron Mingos across this nation, individuals from communities that have been overlooked for far too long, people that don't lack the intellectual capacity, have high levels of motivation, high levels of curiosity, but what's missing often is that opportunity. I'll come back to Aaron in just a minute. For almost 1,000 people a year, Perscalis serves as that second chance. We are one of the leading IT workforce development organizations in this country, built in part to try and deal with the issue of the skills divide in IT. Our approach is very different than most in that we believe that our primary customer is the employer. And we spend a considerable amount of time understanding what their needs are, and that helps inform our curriculum and programming so that we train people for skills that are relevant today and for jobs that are open right now. The list of employers that we work with is long. One of those employers is here this morning, and will be with us this afternoon. Barclays Bank, representing Barclays Bank is Wayne Kunau and Jonathan Pena. They're in the back. They have agreed to stay with us through the afternoon, and I would encourage you, if you have a minute, to talk to Wayne and Jonathan, because they will talk to you about the value proposition that we provide and the value of the talent that we create for their firm. So, the evidence is pretty clear and straightforward, but what I should say is that part of our technical skills training also includes professional development. So the soft skills, the career development that people need to be successful employees. In addition to that, we layer over 2 years of intentional follow-up, very strategic, so that we can continue to provide our students additional certification opportunities that would allow them to build successful career pathways. As John mentioned this morning, we've been randomized twice, both showing significant impact, the most recent one coming out just this summer, that showed that the people that went through our training program earned more money and were less dependent on the system by a lot. And so what was our next step? We looked at all the numbers and we said it was our responsibility to scale this model. And we will continue to do that as long as we continue to hear that there are employers in a lot of these communities asking for skilled IT workers, and often those workers are right down the street from their operation. So back to Aaron. One evening, our career coach goes into the restaurant where Aaron was working, and they got to talking. And our career coach convinced Aaron to attend the next day's orientation, and Aaron did that. He enrolled, and let me fast forward and say, he graduated from our program, he got a certification, and now he's working at Christ Hospital, earning more money than he ever thought he would. Aaron's life will be different forever as a result of this training model. But just as importantly, the lives of his children will be different as well. See, Aaron, as did not believe that the zip code from where he came from should dictate his future. And neither have the thousands of individuals that have benefited from this training program. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, thank you so much, Plinio. He's going to take his microphone back. Plinio, you can give ongoing commentary now that you have that. Well, this is so cool and inspiring. It's I mentioned that cross-silo solutions are so important. We talk about justice problems and challenges. We heard about Pell Grants for folks who have been incarcerated that changed their lives. We talked about a school-based intervention and school-connected intervention in My Brother's Keeper in terms of working across sectors and out of our silos to get better results. I think one thing that Plinio just spoke to with respect to Aaron Mingo is that the solutions are also multi-generational. That Mr. Mingo's children will have better life outcomes, very likely, though a randomized controlled trial may not track it, perhaps than his peers who weren't able to participate in Per Scholas. And having that cross-silo and multi-generational outlook, understanding where people really are and meeting them where they are, rather than sort of siloed approaches, and thinking multi-generationally is where we need to be and where we know so many of you in this room are. So I now get the pleasure of introducing a panel that I'm very excited about. We've heard a lot about what works today, and of course, why that's really important is because of the lives that the work touches. So that's why I'm excited to introduce our next panel, who can come on up, which is titled "What Works in Action." So everyone on this panel, like Mr. Mingo, was a participant in one of the evidence-based interventions that are featured here today at the MBK What Works Showcase. So I'd like to go ahead and invite those panelists up to the stage. And before I pass it off to Sean Dove, the moderator of this panel, I would like to thank him for co-hosting today's event. Sean is the CEO of the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, which has been such an indispensable partner with MBK from the very beginning, even in the room, I believe, with the president when our first planning meetings were taking place. So thank you very much, Sean. And thank you for leading this panel.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a morning. And it is amazing to see how far we have come from that February 2014 day to today. And I'm really excited about this panel, What Works in Action. But before I begin, I have to give a shout out to my Wesleyan classmate, Plinio Ayala. I don't know if Melissa is another Wesleyan in the back with Linda Rodriguez. Melissa left. She was given the Georgetown shout out. And we both had big afros when we graduated together. And you did a better job keeping taking care of your hair. And so, the pathway to success does not happen without having someone in your corner, a community-based organization, a person to speak into your life. At the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, we often talk about that black boys don't need saviors. What they really need is believers. Someone that will believe in their potential, believe in their capacity, and sometimes in many cases to change, and believing in what's possible. And so today, we're hearing a lot about wonderful 33 programs. We're going to get a chance to see evidence-based strategies that work. But behind every data point, behind every evaluation report, there is a story. There's a story of change, there's a story of redemption, there's a story of hope. And so today we're going to hear some of those stories about what works in action. And joining me on the panel today, we have Dante Marshall from Reading Recovery, right next to me, my immediate left. Andre Williams from Urban Alliance. And Jose Hosuna from Homeboy Industries. Love that name, Homeboy Industries. And Tylon Washington from MBK Success Mentor Corp. And you were the the Success Mentor of the Year, right? And we will certainly hear more about this, and we're going to just have a conversation. And we're going to start first with Dante. And Dante, I want you to tell your story and just share a little bit about the impact that Reading Recovery has had on your growth, your development, and specifically your education.
Good morning. My name is Dante Marshall. I'm here representing Reading Recovery. When Sean talked about the influence or the intervention that kind of helped me early in life, it was my Reading Recovery teacher, Mrs. Rosemary Estes. She was my first grade teacher who about a month ago just passed away. We just had her funeral last week. But the intervention that helped me with Reading Recovery back in 84, 85, I believe, was when they used to pull me out of class. I was behind in reading at the time. I was kind of behind my classmates as far as my comprehension. And I tell people now that Reading Recovery gave me the best gift that any person can give a child, and that was the ability to read and comprehend. That ability to read and comprehend has allowed me to graduate from high school when I have parents who haven't graduated from high school. I've gone on to receive my bachelor's degree. I've gone on to receive my Juris Doctorate degree. Now I'm a practicing attorney in Ohio. I'm also back in school again for a computer information systems degree. I've also been able to teach others, teach at universities, teach other kids as far as literary comprehension. I'm also a proud parent of a 7-year-old whose parents believe in early reading and who's now, not only is he a gifted child, he's reading a grade level above his own peers. So all that intervention are programs like Reading Recovery that actually have stepped in and allowed a child like myself to actually achieve the success I've achieved. It's the difference between a child starting here and a trajectory going here versus a trajectory from here going here. And that's what Reading Recovery has done for me and thousands of other children.
Great, thank you. And it's important to highlight that Reading Recovery being profiled here is aligned with Milestone 2 with the MBK framework, reading at grade level by 3rd grade. And we're going to go down and we're going to hear from Andre Williams, who is with an organization, Urban Alliance, and we're elevating their work around the 3rd milestone, graduating from high school, college and career ready. And Andre, tell us, and also the internet audience that's watching, and want to remind folks that we will take one question, so send in your questions to Karen with the hashtag My Brother's Keeper. Tell us about your Urban Alliance story and the impact that it's had in your life.
All right. Good morning, you guys. My name is Andre Williams. Urban Alliance has had a significant impact on me as a student, young professional, and even the overall overall person. I'm sorry. I mean, prior to my involvement with Urban Alliance, I didn't know much about the work environment, the professional environment. I didn't have much experience. But what I actually got from the program was an internship, a mentorship, and a set of skills that gave me an edge over my peers. One of the key things of the program was the professional development offered every week. That's something that I really found important and really imperative to my growth as a young professional and even a student. One of the things that we take for granted as young individuals is the ability to work and the skill set to perform at your greatest ability within the work environment. Another key component of the program was the educational piece. Prior to my involvement with at Urban Alliance, I didn't really have someone to sit me down and actually explain to me the process of applying to colleges. I always knew that I wanted to apply to college, but I didn't have the steps 1 through 10, whatever steps necessary to apply to college. And I actually had someone to sit me down within Urban Alliance to actually go over the steps with me. And since then, I've graduated and obtained my Bachelor's of Science degree in Engineering and Technology, and I'm actually pursuing my master's degree in Product Development Engineering. And like I said before, I didn't really have anyone to sit me down and actually explain that to me. So that's one of the main things that I'm really appreciative of the program for. They also sit you down and go over a plan to make sure that your goals are feasible. You know, the thing about college, there's huge expenses that comes with that. So you got to consider financial aid. One of the things that I really appreciate about the program was my program coordinator, which is a mentor within the organization itself. Urban Alliance employs young youth throughout the District of Columbia in they partner with different organizations to basically employ young students. But then you have your mentor at your place of employment, and then you have your mentor, which is your program coordinator within Urban Alliance. And my program coordinator actually assisted me with going over each and every scholarship. I actually was able to earn the Gates Millennium Scholarship, which is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which will pay for me to obtain my doctorate degree.
So, Andre, you didn't wake up one day and then all of a sudden, boom, you're involved in Urban
No,
Alliance.
I didn't wake up one.
Just quickly
yeah.
tell us how you got involved. What was that transformational moment that got you engaged?
Well, I was interning for the mayor's program, and then I heard about Urban Alliance. And I read about the program, and I seen that it was a great program. And I also seen that I was making $8 an hour, and Urban Alliance was paying $10 an hour. So,
money, money, money.
yeah, so once I applied to the program and actually did the interview, I think that's what really was a changing momentum of the way I thought in terms of the program.
Great. And we're going to go to Jose next, and I'm going to start off with you, Jose, with the same question. You know, what brought you to Homeboy Industries? Share a little bit about, you know, what Homeboy Industries is and what it's meant to you.
Right, absolutely. As Sean said, my name's Jose Osuna. I get to serve as Director of External Affairs at Homeboy Industries. I'm also a product of the program. So Homeboy Industries is the world's largest gang rehabilitation and reentry facility. We serve over 12,000 people a year. We target those that mostly other organizations won't target, or those individuals that won't go to other organizations. So we deal with hardcore gang members of all ages. I think our age range right now is from 13 to about 65. And so, you know, gangs do not practice ageism. Need help at all ages. How I found my way to Homeboy Industries, by the way, we were founded by a great man named Father Gregory Boyle, Jesuit priest, about 28 years ago. So we've been doing this for a little while now. What brought me to Homeboy Industries is what basically brings everybody else to Homeboy Industries. I needed some love. I just didn't know how to say that. You know, full disclosure, I was a member of a gang for 25 years of my life. I served 13 years of my life in the prisons of California. I'm the proud father of 3 children. I was the proud father of 4 children, and I lost my 17-year-old son to gun violence 8 years ago. But that's not why I walked through the doors. I wanted some love, and society wasn't giving that to me. You know, every opportunity that I sought in my life, even if I achieved it, it was somehow snatched away, whether it was through the systemic obstacles that exist in our society or through my own self-sabotage. And when I walked through the doors of Homeboy Industries, after a friend of mine had told me, you know, you have a lot of potential and you should go talk to Father Greg. This was right after I had been released from another period of incarceration. And so I walked in, and here's this priest that basically told me, what do you need? And I had never been asked that before. And so I basically told him I need a job. He goes, you might need a little more than that, but we can start with that. And so he gave me a job. But what really drew me to the place was the fact that when I walked through the doors, there were a lot of people like me. There were a lot of men and women that had lived the same lifestyle as me and looked like me. So that was a big plus for an individual like myself. And as I got to know all these people, what I discovered is that they had not just left the lifestyle and become mentors and products of the program, but the program had actually started to invest in these individuals. And we had started to provide them with training and workshops and sending them to school so that not only would they have the cultural competency that is required to work with the population that we serve, but they also had the credibility with the outside world to be able to carry the message that Father Greg carries and to be able to do the work that we have to do at Homeboy Industries. As a result of that, 8 years later, I'm here with you at the White House.
In the White House.
That's right.
You know, Jose, we often say that, you know, there is no logic model for love, right? And when we get the evaluation reports back and the
Love's not a category.
evidence-based, there is no box to check that says love, that indicates that. So could you just take a moment to share what that love looks like for those of us around the country that are building transformational strategies, but just describe that love, what it looks like.
For me, that love, I'll step into data a little bit is what you're asking me to do a little bit, right? How does that translate to people that see love in a different way than Father Greg does? For us, our recidivism rate is extraordinary. So those individuals that go through our program, their recidivism rate is at about a 30 to 35% rate, while the rest of the nation is around a 60 to 65% rate. And that's because people come and they're loved and they stay. What I would say is also this. For us, love looks like this. The fact that a population that will go nowhere else will come there because they are loved. And so that's been statistically proven that gang members in the city of Los Angeles will seek help with very few organizations. And the one organization that they consistently keep coming back to is Homeboy Industries.
Thank you, thank you. You know, by a show of hands in the audience, raise your hand if you've had a mentor in your life that has helped with your success. Raise your hand. All right, and if whatever hand that did not go up, let's identify that person and make sure that they get a mentor before they leave. Tylon just took a picture, and so he took a picture because he is, as I shared earlier, he was a Mentor of the Year with the MBK Success Mentor Corps, and he's here elevating milestone 7 of the MBK My Brother's Keeper framework, empowering parents and engaging caring adults and mentors. Although I thought there was only 6 milestones, but I think you added 1 milestone, 7. Cross-cutting. Tylon, you know, share why. You know, they say leadership begins with the question why. Why did you become a mentor with a Success Mentor Corps, and what has that experience been like for you?
The short answer would be, you know, you've never found a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'm a filmmaker and an entrepreneur, and I think I have probably made one of the best decisions in my life to become a mentor. To enter a school with such an intuitive and smart and brilliant infrastructure where I was able to partner with guidance counselors, school safety agents, and other stakeholders in the community, the principal, being a part of the Parent-Teacher Association and being a part of policy, as well as having direct contact with a student. To me, it doesn't get better than that. I think if you really want to make an impact and you really want to change the trajectory of someone's life, I think success mentorship is where it's at.
Great. So talk a little bit more about the feeling of a mentor. There may be someone in the audience, someone watching online that is maybe standing at the water's edge of becoming a mentor, and we want to kind of give them a nudge to share their gifts and talents with a young person. Share some experience, maybe talk about your mentee, what that experience has been like, and why you would encourage others to get engaged in the mentoring movement.
Okay, before I do that real quick, I have to give a huge shout out to my current mentees at the Paul Dunbar Middle School in the Bronx 301. Let's give them a shout out.
Right. Are they watching?
Yes, they are, with
Right.
my Meredy Mahia and the principal. I want to say hello and thank you for allowing me to be here. The students gave me permission. If the students said no, I wouldn't be here. So they said, no, it's the White House, go. And they were very excited for me to be here, so I wanted to give them a shout out. But when I was at the high school for media and communications last year, they had an 80.2% attendance rate. At the end of the year, they ended with 89% attendance rate. And I laid it at the feet of not just the Success Mentorship, but the whole team spirit and effort at that school that recognized the importance of the MPK Success Mentorship Program and were fully on board with the whole idea of having and making real meaningful connections with young people. You know, we see a lot about data. We understand policies, and we can do research online and Google, and you can learn fancy and interesting words. But in order to make all of this work for mentors who are out there who are thinking about mentorship, it's the care. Now, I know that has nothing really to do with data, but the kids, they understand when you actually really care. You can't fake care. They'll smell it. They will sense it. You know, it's in their language of, oh, that girl, she's fake, or you got to be real. They understand real language, they understand real people, and they understand if you're going to really listen and be present. So if you're out there and you want to be a mentor, I would say be the mentor that you wish you had. And like all of you who have had a mentor, be a great one.
Great. So I want to go to Andre and ask Andre about the Urban Alliance alumni program, right? And how that has had impact in your life. And just describe that. So it wasn't like you graduated, see you later, good luck.
Yeah.
What's been the continuum?
The continuum of the alumni program has been one of a great experience. Like you said, it's not just a goodbye. Once you graduate from high school, they continue to provide you with support, whether that's through internships, notification of fellowships, more job or career opportunities. For instance, once I graduated, which was in December, once I graduated, I was having a difficult time finding employment. So I went to Urban Alliance and I spoke with them, and they gave me several resources necessary to find employment. They actually gave me the opportunity to intern. They actually gave me the opportunity to interview with a great company through Kaya Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the resources that they pointed me to actually led me to my current employment at Lockheed Martin. And through Lockheed Martin, I was able to be employed. But the support that they provided me was through, one of the things we don't really think about as young individuals, really coming from high school and even graduating from college, it's the skills necessary to be great and do great in terms of even interviewing for a specific position, interview etiquette, and even etiquette once you interview. One of the things that they've assisted me with was follow-up emails through to the interviewers, and that's one thing that I really took for granted. But like I said, the support through fellowships, employment, job opportunities, things such as that.
Great. And today is really about demonstrating impact of programs in the lives of young people, in the lives of communities. And Dante, in your experience with Reading Recovery, and it was really great hearing you chronicle from coming in and all that you have done. Just talk a little bit about the value, right, and maybe the split screen, what the split screen might have looked like if you were not engaged in Reading Recovery, but just more broadly, just the value of a strategy like Reading Recovery.
I think what mentioned earlier was like you have a 1 in 2 chance to either go one way or the other as a young adult. And I believe early intervention, especially programs such as Reading Recovery, that early intervention is key. It's important. Like, part of my work as an attorney has been in the delinquency deprivation area, dealing with delinquent children. And what you find is a lot of those children who end up incarcerated or are getting in trouble, their capability of reading and comprehending is low. You don't find that with kids who actually had such an intervention, who actually levels of reading and comprehension are here versus those kids who are down here. It's like that early intervention is key. You have to get involved early. You have to get involved, or teaching them not only to read, but also to comprehend. I mean, with my own child, I've done that. I mean, we're talking reading to every night, making sure that, have you learned something new? Have you read something? That ability to actually step in early on. Because a child who struggles out the rest of his life in terms of reading or having trouble with reading, they're likely to say, you know what, forget school. I don't need this. I'm gonna do something else. Versus those children who actually someone's gotten involved, been in their lives, actually teaching them the skills that they need, and they actually take that concept and grasp and run with it. And I remember my first grade teacher used to tell me, she was like, you took a bunch of books and used to run with it. You know, the librarian knew you by first name. So that was kind of like my love of reading, that's where it came from. So that early intervention, I believe, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now if it wasn't for such programs like that.
Great, great. So I want to turn to Jose. One of the things that struck me when the president made the My Brother's Keeper announcement and the speech that Michael referred to earlier, he referred to some things that he had done when he was growing up. He was not always on the path to presidency, and you had mentioned love, but this whole notion of a second chance, this whole notion of understanding that we make mistakes, we make bad choices, and that it takes compassion and forgiveness, because some would want to just write a whole population of young people off because of one mistake. And Homeboy Industries is rooted in second chance, forgiveness. And could you just talk a little bit about that culture of the organization and the impact of your involvement, but the other young people involved?
Absolutely. I think I'll start with one of Father Greg's favorite sayings, that nobody is as bad as their worst mistake, and none of us should be judged that way. But unfortunately, many of us are judged by one moment in our lives, and that stays with us for the rest of our lives. And so many opportunities are lost as a result of one moment in a person's life. You know, you lose the ability to work, you lose the ability to vote, you lose the ability to do so many things, and really are made into a second-class citizen. At Homeboy Industries, what we do is we acknowledge each person for the individual that they are. We acknowledge that there's beauty there and that has to be acknowledged. We recognize that we are all what God intended us to be. And Father Greg has taught us that there. So for me, forgiveness and compassion plays a critical role. And I think even more critical is that self-forgiveness. So the shame and the guilt that I walked in with, Homeboy Industries helped me to address. I want to give a shout out to my colleague, Fabian Devora, in the audience. He's our director of substance abuse treatment programs, but he's also a great artist. We have a picture at our table, and I'd love for people to come by and ask us about it. It's a picture of my ex-wife, and that picture was drawn by my daughter at one of Fabian's art workshops at his studio. And so my daughter, when she came to Homeboy Industry, came to be part of our charter high school. And she had a lot of issues, both with myself and with my ex-wife. And Fabian was able to take her through a therapeutic process in drawing her mom, in spending all that time thinking about this person that brought her into the world, and all the good things and the bad things that had happened between them. And at the end of it, when she finished that drawing, we were able to talk about that. And she was able to talk about not just forgiving me, but forgiving her mom, but more importantly, forgiving herself. You know, for not being compassionate with us, for not understanding our lives as her parents and the decisions we made as a result of our childhoods and things like that. So for me, that was like the most personal, impactful moment that I've ever had at Homeboy, was when me and my daughter had that moment. And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't there for Fabian, if it wasn't there for me, and if Homeboy Industries wasn't there for my daughter when we all needed it at that point in our lives.
Thank you. I know we've had lightning talks, and this has felt like a lightning panel. We are down to 1 minute. Karen, is there a question? No. Oh, I think we all covered it. So let's give our panelists a round of applause. Dante Marshall, Andre Williams, Jose Asuna, and Tylon Washington. Thank you.